Hello everybody, I am Jarrett Ross, the GeneaVlogger, and welcome back to another Professional Genealogist Reacts. In today's video, I will be reacting to We Took a DNA Test from LadyLike. It's just going to be another DNA test results video, I'm not quite sure what to expect. I don't really know anything about the LadyLike channel. It did look like there's about 4 or 5 of them, and I imagine we'll get a couple of different results back. So before we jump into the video, please be sure to give it a like, thumbs up, and also be sure to subscribe and click that bell so that you get notifications for future videos. But let's go ahead and just jump right into it.
Are you using audio?
They start with the spit take.
Today, we are taking a 23andMe Ancestry test.
23andMe breaks down your background and like what percentage of you are from what regions of the world.
Is this going to be a geography test?
No, not a test.
But kind of a test.
I have heard of 23andMe because different people in past BuzzFeed videos have done it, including our own Jen Ruggiero.
Okay, so
my results, but
yeah,
my
she's
friends
from
really,
BuzzFeed.
Do not know theirs.
She's from BuzzFeed.
And we recently got a bunch of 23andMe test kits, and I want to make everybody spit in a cup so we can learn where we're from and, I don't know, potentially do something with that information.
So on my dad's side, I know I'm Irish and Italian. My grandfather came from Italy. My mom was actually adopted when she was a little girl. So while we have some ideas about what our ancestry might be on that side, we don't really know, and there's not really a way to find out until
I doubt they'll go into
I
genetic
don't know a ton
matches
about
for
my
her,
family
but that'd be
background.
really
I do know
interesting.
that my great grandmother was a slave, so she was first generation in America. And I do know that on my dad's side, there's some Native American, but I'm not sure who or how much. In general,
or
I can
family
just take a stab in the dark
story.
and say Africa. Caribbean could be an option. I just like...
It's really, really common. One of the most common stories in American families and African American families that there's this Native American ancestor. But most of the time, that's actually just a myth, and there usually is no representation of that in the genealogy or in taking these autosomal DNA tests. It'll be interesting to see if she actually does have it. Every once in a while, there are people that do have that actual Native American ancestry, but especially for anyone who watches like Finding Your Roots or African American Ancestors, really any of the Henry Louis Gates Jr. programs, you'll have seen this so many times that it's so common that people will say, oh yeah, I have a Native American ancestor. Someone in the family had high cheekbones, or, we have Native American features, but most of the time it's something else.
Literally have no idea. I'm in for a lot of surprises. I know I will be.
I'm 50% Irish and 50% Polish. My grandparents are first-generation Americans, so I'm pretty sure we're Polish. I eat guamki a lot, love me some
She's
pierogies.
probably got
and
some mixture of European she doesn't
side,
realize,
I
because
think we're...
Poland has changed borders so many times over the past hundreds of years. So there are places in Poland that are now in Germany or in Ukraine or in other, all sorts of different places. The borders have gone all over the place. So it's very likely she may have like German, French. She's probably going to have some random, European mixtures in there that she's not expecting.
From like County Cork area.
Mexico is right here, and that's where my
But
mom's
Eastern
side of the family
European.
is from. Both of her parents were born and raised in Mexico, and then my mom was born and raised
She's
here.
probably going to
And
have
now
a
I'm born and
really
raised here.
big
I
mix.
am curious to see if there's any like Native American or like Mayan or Aztec.
Definitely will be for her. The thing I'd be curious about is if she has any significant Jewish ancestry, just because there is that possibility where if she does have Jewish ancestry coming from that Mexican background, that it could be converso ancestry, basically Jewish families that were living as Christians.
like involved in
Which
our
have been
Mexican
proven in
heritage,
Mexico.
or how much of it is like Spanish or whatnot, because I really have no idea. And then my dad says that his family is primarily from Scotland.
So I know I'm supposed to spit in a little thing. You give someone your spit,
Okay,
and
so they're
instead
going to
of
do
them
the
slapping
full
you in the
spit take
face,
here.
they give you a wealth of information about your life. I am super curious because I don't really know much about my mom's ancestry, and I've never really been able to definitively find out. You know, my mom's side is kind of a mystery.
Today is finally the day we're getting our 23andMe results. I can't wait to make all this like fan fiction about our family histories.
Everyone else has like a general idea of like certain regions that they are probably from, but I think there will be a lot of surprises, and I can't wait to see everyone's faces.
Hi guys.
Hi.
LadyLike.
My name's Juliana. I am a product specialist on the customer care team at 23.
She's been on a lot of
Today we're going
the
to go over
BuzzFeed
your
videos.
ancestry composition results. Are you guys excited?
Yes.
All right, Devin, let's start with you.
Yeah. Half Irish, half Polish.
I think I'm from like the British Isles and then like Eastern Europe.
So you're right. You are 99.8% European.
Mhm.
What is the point two? That is not.
You're 34% British and Irish, 9.8%
French, just like I
French
said.
and German, 2.4% Scandinavian.
What?
Yeah.
Scandinavian?
Yeah.
That's probably coming from the British Irish.
It'd be funny if you were that.
I think you said you were Polish.
Mhm.
Okay, so there's evidence of that. You are 20.1% Eastern European, so that's where your Polish ancestry would be. You're a little bit
We
Southern
could
Irish.
Mhm.
Okay, so there's evidence of that. You are 20.
Okay, yeah. So 20.1% Eastern European, 20.4% broadly Northwestern European. And then she has this Southern European, part Balkan, and then part Iberian. Interesting.
1% Eastern European, so that's where your Polish ancestry would be. You're a little bit Southern European, and then your 0.2% is East Asian.
Oh,
0.2%. So we're looking at your recent ancestry here, so the past 5 to 10 generations, and we can actually take a look in your ancestry timeline where that came about, starting with your mother and going back to her mother and her mother and her mother, back to hundreds of thousands of years.
The women.
So your maternal haplogroup is T1A. I know that
must be the best. It's T1A.
yeah, all of the members of T1A can trace their maternal lines back to a woman who lived in the Middle East about 14,000 years ago.
I got a little emotional when you said we could track our history back to one woman. It's like one great times affinity grandma. This is really, really cool. And
Eventually back to
shout out to my old
mitochondrial
grandma,
Eve.
T1A.
For people that are Mexican or Hispanic Latino descent, it's usually a mix of European, Native American, and
Huge
sometimes a little
mix.
bit of African ancestry. Let's find out.
Okay, let's do it. Yes.
Okay, so you are 70.8% European,
Okay.
which is broken down further into 33.2% British and Irish, and that's where the evidence of Scottish ancestry would be.
Oh, wow, Dad, you knew. I should have given him more credit.
So you are 20.6% Southern European, broken down further into 10.4% Iberian, so again, Spain and
Spanish,
Portugal.
yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
0.1% Balkan, and then 10% broadly Southern European. You do have some evidence of that Native American DNA. About 19.7%.
19.7%.
Whoa.
Pretty high, yeah.
That's a lot. I
Mhm.
wasn't expecting that at all.
So let's take a look at your ancestry timeline.
Oh, yes.
So your maternal haplogroup is B2. So the common ancestor of haplogroup B2 was likely born in the northeastern reaches of Siberia.
So she has a
17,000 years
Native
ago.
American maternal
Siberia.
haplogroup, or Native American
I was gonna say
maternal
a little
line.
polar bear, but I don't know what animals are from Siberia.
This
Interesting.
is really, really interesting.
It's my turn. It's your turn. I really have no idea what to expect. Also, in terms of how much information you all can provide me. You know, for our sub-Saharan African reference population, it's a little bit more broad than you might expect. We do have an African genetics project that's going on right now to gather more data from individuals that have known ancestry from Africa to be able to update our reference populations to hopefully offer a little bit more granularity when it comes to your results. And it's not just
All of the
23andMe
companies-
that doesn't have the data. It's like
Correct.
across the
All of these companies are constantly doing these studies and population groups, And for anyone who's done their DNA test results and then you've seen the results updated, that's why they're updated, is because these studies have come out and they've been able to take those results and then modify their algorithms to represent that. And then often you can go to the white papers and get more information about that. Something I discussed in a recent video about, how to measure the performance of these tests. So you can get a lot of changes over the time of having a DNA test. I tested back in 2013 with Family Tree DNA because those were the people who originally had it then, really. And I've seen it change probably about 5-6 times now, maybe. Maybe not that much, but I want to say about 5 or 6 times. So yeah, they're constantly doing those updates. So yeah.
Board.
Correct.
Like
yes.
just science in general.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
But are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay.
Let's do it.
You are 74.5% Sub-Saharan African.
Okay.
Which is broken down a little bit further into 67.5% West African.
Interesting.
Yeah. So that would be countries like Ghana, Nigeria. Did you know?
I think Ancestry has a really big breakdown when it comes to African ancestry.
Well, not family members,
a
but
big
my
breakdown,
uncle's
but they have a very specific breakdown. So they get more specific with the subregions.
Okay. And also, my old roommate was Ghanaian, so those regions do register something for me. Like, I have feelings about them, like good feelings. I have like relationships to people who are from those regions, so that's pretty cool.
And then 3.1% Central and South African.
Interesting.
Yeah, you are 24.2% European.
That is
very
a lot.
Typical for African American ancestry.
I'm startled.
Should I get you some mayonnaise?
Yeah. Further broken down into 6.8 British and Irish.
Okay.
0.4% Scandinavian, and then 10.1% broadly.
It makes me a little sad. I mean, 24 as a whole is just a lot. It's a lot to digest. But I'm surprised. So I don't have any Asian in me.
You have a little bit. 0.9% East Asian and Native American.
Okay.
Yeah. I know you thought that someone in your family had a little bit of Native American.
Yeah. So it's there. Not much.
Small percentage, but it was passed down. Your maternal haplogroup is L1B1A. Members of L1 migrated into Western Africa, and so today that haplogroup L1B1A is found exclusively in Ethiopia and Sudan.
Wow.
That's pretty interesting.
Not all of the info made me feel excited, but it's just nice to know and have that knowledge, and also have like seeing those dates and those time periods. I think a lot of that is very telling.
Well, they mentioned the genetic matches for adoption.
All right, Kristen, tell me what you think.
My mom is adopted. She was adopted as a child. I know what might be there, but I am curious to see if it will be confirmed.
Okay, so you're a little bit of everything.
What does that mean?
You're 79.5% European. But
that's it?
Yeah, were you expecting more?
Yes.
Out of the 79.5%, you are 44.2% Northwestern European, 14.1% British and Irish, 3.5% French and German, 0.3% Scandinavian, 26.3% is broadly. Can't pinpoint it specifically to one of those more specific regions.
Generally people who like meat pies in some way, shape, or form.
So then you have 28.9% Southern European, 7.5% Iberian, so again, Spain and Portugal.
Oh, what?
7.5% Italian.
Wait, what? I'm only 7.5% Italian?
Yeah.
We faced videos on the fact that I'm Italian. Okay, well, I know nothing. That's what I learned. I don't know shit for dicks.
Wait,
Are you ready
what's
for the other 20%?
I want to see the broadly.
Wait, what?
Okay, broadly Southern European 13.1% is probably also Italian, and it's very possible too that part of that Iberian or even that Balkan is just kind of like her Italian. But also a lot of people who live in different parts of Italy have ancestry that's from elsewhere, so that's a common explanation for what could be going on.
I'm only 7.5% Italian.
Yeah.
We faced videos on the fact that I'm Italian. Okay, well, I know nothing. That's what I learned. I don't know shit for dicks.
Are you ready for the other 20%?
Yeah, I am.
You have 17.3% East Asian and Native
So she's
American.
the one with the
That's
actual Native
so
American
high.
ancestry.
13.9 of that is Native American.
That is so high.
So 13.9% would be the equivalent of like a great grandparent. So that means that it's very likely that one of her great grandparents was fully Native American, which is pretty recent. So I wonder if that is through her mom's side. Um, it could be. It'll be interesting to see her mitochondrial haplogroup, because if she has a Native American haplogroup, similar to the other girl who has the Mexican ancestry, then that would be telling that it's her great grandmother who was fully Native American. So that's where those mitochondrial haplogroups can come in being really helpful in certain cases, especially like for adoption and stuff, where it's just completely blank and you really don't know where to look. Well, if you know that you have 13.9% Native American ancestry, and then you have your mitochondrial haplogroup having Native American roots, then you know that it's through your purely maternal line, and being a great grandparent, then you can pretty much figure out that it's your great grandmother. So it makes it really easy. And for anyone who's male, you have your Y DNA that you can get. You can get your Y haplogroup, and pretty much kind of the same thing. Except for the Y haplogroup, you're looking at your purely paternal line, so your father's 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 father, as opposed to your purely maternal mother's 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 mother. So, yeah.
Full disclosure, I did think there would be some Native American, but I think like it's really, you hear like lots of white people like to be like, I have some Native American, and like I don't feel like it's right to claim a heritage that like isn't necessarily mine, and like that's crazy. Anyway, continue.
So your ancestry timeline. Your maternal haplogroup is J1C3.
Ooh.
So this is a relatively young branch of J that traces back to a woman who lived approximately 9,000 years ago. Her ancestors migrated into Europe from the Middle East
European
as
woman.
the Ice Age receded between 14,000 and 11,000 years ago.
There's a lot to unpack here. I'm just as Iberian as I am Italian. First, the fuck of all. Second of all, I thought there would be some Native American, but I didn't think there would be this much. Like, that's a significant percentage.
Yep.
This is wild.
I feel like I need to not work anymore. I feel like I need to go home and just like process all of this information. You know what I mean?
I really need to call my mom and be like, because she's actually been bothering me all day.
23andMe
at-home genetic testing.
Lady tested,
Lady
learned.
Yeah.
All right. So LadyLike, it's a channel from BuzzFeed. I didn't realize at first, but as I slowly recognized some of the women from it, kind of dawned on me. But that was a pretty interesting video. Some pretty interesting breakdowns for all of them. For the last girl, especially getting that 13.9% Native American ancestry. That's pretty interesting. So I wonder if they dived further into her matches to help her mom possibly connect with her biological family. Um, if they haven't done that, and you want someone to do that, you can contact me, and maybe we can figure something out. So it'd be interesting, especially to kind of see a video about that, or see someone talk about that kind of stuff. I know for me, I have a lot of adoption cases that I've worked, but I haven't quite found anyone who is really kind of like, yeah, go ahead and make a video all about this whole thing. So, yeah, but it was a really interesting video overall. Pretty much your typical DNA test results sort of videos. For the first girl, she got pretty much what I was expecting her to get based on what she had said, which I think she'd said it was Scottish and Polish. She got that Eastern European reading. She got the British Isles, British and Irish reading. She got some of the Iberian reading, I think, as well. And then she got that, Scandinavian, and then the French German. I don't remember any of these girls' names, unfortunately. So forgive me for not using their names. But the one girl with the African ancestry, and she was talking about, well, knowing history, you can allude to where that comes from. And, what she's talking about is the fact that she's African American, so she comes from slaves, people who were held as slaves, and it's very likely that European ancestry, it not only represents her ancestors being slaves, but it also represents them literally being raped. Now the nuances of the actual history behind it, you'd have to dive into the genealogy to find out all about it. If you've watched Finding Your Roots or any of the, Henry Louis Gates Jr. programs, they dive deep into a lot of African American stories. And, what happened in the past is quite interesting. And, there were, people who were black and white and they had children together consensually. And, there were even communities in West Virginia, some that Henry Louis Gates Jr. descends from, where, they go back a long ways to people who, were freed slaves that then had these communities. And it was a mixture of white and black, and it wasn't, quite what you would think. But with that all said, it's very likely that a lot of that European ancestry is coming from the horrors of what her ancestors had to live through. Thank you so much for checking out this video. I hope you enjoyed. Please be sure to give it a thumbs up if you did. You can also click right about here if you'd like to subscribe. It's completely free to do so. You can also follow me on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram at GeneaVlogger. I'm the GeneaVlogger. I'll see you in my next video.